Welcome everyone, my name is Edoardo and today from Brussels we are going to broadcast the video series From Innovation to Success. Together with our expert Bernard DeWit, we're going to discuss on how to protect IPR in China. Welcome Bernard.
Thank you Edoardo. Hello to you, hello to everyone. I'm very glad to take this opportunity to introduce the intellectual property rights protection in China. I started to develop my interest in EU-China related issues already in 1983, and that led me to decide to establish my first representative office of my law firm in China in 2009. Through our rep office, we have more opportunities to work closely with foreign companies investing in China, and it helps to gather more experience in the IPR protection field in the past years working for foreign investment in China.
Dear Bernard, copying of intellectual property in China is very common, so it's a problem for European SMEs. Nonetheless, there are also many business opportunities. How would you suggest to move for European SMEs in China?
First of all, I think that there are many opportunities in China, and EU SMEs should not be afraid to go to China. But they need to be well prepared before going, and in particular in the field of IPR. We have to know that these last years the IPR legislation in China has been completed, especially after China joined the WTO. The People's Congress of China has enacted many laws and regulations, and in particular the laws of concerning copyright, trade law, patent law have been modified and developed, and the registrations procedures for the IPR questions have been made much easier and faster. China has also established IPR courts, especially in the big cities like Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and especially dedicated to IPR litigations. The most important advice we can give to EU SMEs going to China is to be well prepared and to check that their rights, their intellectual property rights, are well protected before before entering in China, before signing contracts, before investing in China. For instance, if the trademarks and the patents are not registered duly in China, they will not be protected by Chinese law, and if an infringement happens, we cannot do much. They can only start negotiating with the authorities or with the people who made the infringement. EU SMEs should always keep an eye on the market to check whether there are infringement actions. In case the rights are infringed, I would strongly suggest that they seek also for professional advice and assistance from IPR experts like the EU-China IPR Helpdesk or to their lawyers to avoid any further losses.
According to your experience, what do you think is the most commonly made mistake of European SMEs in China? And perhaps you can also give a few examples.
I think the most common mistake that is made by EU SMEs before going to China is that they think too late to get their rights, their IPR duly registered in China before starting business in China. I always suggest these companies that even they do not have yet real business in China to think about registering their IPR in China through the IPR system in China or through the international Madrid system to get well protected. The world economy is growing fast. There's more and more flow of information, of population, and there are also more and more dangers of infringements. We had as a client a European textile company. They make textile products like tablecloth, bed sheets, other clothes. They had no direct investment in China. After making a little research, they found there were a Chinese company in Guangzhou area that was selling exactly the same clothes they had designed. That Chinese company was making promotions and commercialization of these tablecloths on their website. When we got the complaint, we made some research and we found out that the Belgian company, the European company, did not file for copyright registration for their designs in China. And when they wanted to file a lawsuit against the Chinese company in Guangzhou, well, it was too late to file for the copyright registration, as the court would have requested basic evidence of ownership, and it was hard for them to prove the copyright of their design. And to avoid that, you have to think, are my product, is it easy for my product to be copied? Is it easy to be copied in China, even though I'm not doing immediately business with China? And if yes, you better think about protecting your rights in China, and the local legislation allows you to do that.
As you already mentioned, there's the international Madrid system as well as the national registration for European SMEs when they go to China in order to register their logos and names. Which one of these two systems would be the best, the one you would advise?
Well, I would say that both the national registration system and the international Madrid systems are good ways to register. For the national registration in China, foreign companies need to ask for a Chinese trademark agency to make the filings to the trademark office of China directly in China, for instance. For the Madrid system, then the filings can be made in their own countries, which can be sometimes easier. And the companies need to select China as a protected territory. If EU SMEs have already got their company name and logo registered in their own country, well, they can search for assistance by a Chinese agency to make then the national filing.
Many thanks, Bernard, for all these examples you provided us with. I'm sure that European SMEs will be able to set a proper IP strategy in China.
Well, you're more than welcome. As we all know, the Chinese economy is booming. The new technology, the new brands are continuously appearing. The IPR legislation is constantly developing and improving, along with developing techniques and the problems we are facing. We know that our companies are more and more conscious about that. And I think the advantage of your Helpdesk is to remind our companies that they should not stay at home convinced that their products are naturally protected, that they have to make some efforts to be conscious of IPR questions. And I'm sure that after visiting your center in Beijing or in Europe, they will be much more conscious about that.
Thanks for watching our video. If you liked it, do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you can find many other videos on IPR, not only on China but also on Southeast Asia and Latin America, as well as do not forget to check always our website. Let's turn our innovation into success. See you next time.